I used to believe we were burning on the edge of something beautiful.
What's up, everybody? It's your host, Hans Rockwell, with another episode of the Rockwell Rundown. Now, I would have loved to have my co-host Mateo here, but he hasn't been able to make it the last couple times. Our schedule is just a little crazy right now. Mine, not so much. I don't know what he's up to. I do know that he's being, carried away with some of the other things that he's pursuing. So hopefully we'll get him here soon. But before we get started, I've got to mention my sponsors. So if you don't want to hear the sponsors, go ahead and skip forward a little bit. First one up, Homegrown Athletics. You guys need to go check this out, okay? He's got some hip flexor stuff. Hopefully some other products coming out soon, maybe some jump ropes, maybe some jiu-jitsu, no-gi, rash guard stuff. I've already got some samples of it. I wear it all the time. I really like it. He's trying to get some of that stuff just right so that he comes out with something that nobody else has. But go support him. It helps him, push through and get the products that he needs so that he can bring quality to you guys. Another one is Equip Beef Isolate Protein. Go get some. Use my affiliate link in my Instagram bio or use my discount code. You guys get good protein for cheaper. Why would you not want some? Especially at a discount. Anything I can get at a discount, I'm going to try and do that because why not? Things are expensive. And if you get upset stomach, like maybe you have a hard time digesting whey protein, this is a great option because I have those issues and I never have a problem when I have the Equip Beef Isolate Protein. Never an issue. I have the cinnamon flavored. I think it's Cinnabon technically. Really good. I really like it. I mix it with a lot of different things like my yogurt. I mix it with coffee in the morning, stuff like that. It's really good. And then the best one is Flow Space Mats. I love this place. This company. Very, very cool. And these guys are super, super involved with their affiliates and people that are helping them. They're crazy about promoting this, which I guess you should be. It's honestly insane, but I feel very blessed to be a part of this. I really feel like I'm a part of the team. It's kind of crazy, actually. It's pretty cool to be a part of. It's a Flow Space mat is a jiu-jitsu / wrestling inflatable mat. I know inflatable sounds a little crazy. Some people in the comments were saying, oh, it's like an air mattress. It is like that. They even give you an air pump. But I'm telling you, this thing is super, super high quality. It's insane. I've seen videos of people driving their cars on this when it's super all the way inflated. I have videos of me body slamming people on it, heavyweights wrestling on it, like multiple people training on it, zero issues. This thing is very, very convenient, especially for those who want to train at home, have to go to jiu-jitsu comps and there's no warm-up space. If you have kids at home and you don't always want to have a mat just sitting out, is literally perfect because then it just folds all down just like an air mattress. It's very, very nice. Use my discount code on this one and you'll get it crazy cheap. Rockwell Grappling, all capital letters. Use that as well for the Beef Isolate Protein too. But go check it out. If you need more info, message me or use the links in my bio and go follow them. Go follow them on their Instagram. Their Instagram is pretty fun. So. And then last is our Rockfin page. So this is a page that my dad started. Go like the page. Go be a part of it. Go subscribe. Whatever you got to do to help support us because he has been providing Oregon wrestling rankings since the dawn of the dinosaurs. It's pretty crazy because he did it for a super long time, like 10, 15 years, unpaid. Just did it for the love of the game. And now he's finally getting compensated for it. And now I'm starting to help him with the women's side. And my brother's starting to help him with the boys' side. If you guys want ways to support us, there's lots of different ways. I just gave you a whole list of them. Go check them out. Help us. And we'll try to keep helping you, Now, enough of that. What I really, really wanted to talk about today is this manosphere documentary. This thing was crazy. I cannot believe what I was watching. I was literally laughing the entire time when I was watching it with my wife because I couldn't believe that these guys are real. The people that they were interviewing was absolutely insane. Just some of the things that they were saying is just, I don't understand how these young men are following him. It's really, it makes me sad because it makes me realize that there's people out there failing these young men, because that's the target of this red pill community is young men, people who don't have enough guidance, who have been hurt too many times, maybe a little weak-minded in a sense. I'm not trying to make that seem like a dig at them or anything, but that's definitely kind of how I see it, because anybody, who was like a little bit more mature, or not even more mature, that's not even the right word. I don't know how I want to describe it other than these people are taking advantage of young men. That's what I'm trying to say. They're taking advantage of these kids, and they're making an insane amount of money from it. It's very, very sad, because I coach wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and I've been in the school, system for a very long time, helping kids and trying to help be a good, healthy role model, especially for young men, because I know what it's like to be in that position. But I didn't follow these dinguses online. I had other male role models helping guide me. And I think that's the issue, is that we do not have enough positive role models who are in the limelight like these freaking twats are. And it's really frustrating to see, especially that Myron guy. Oh my gosh, that guy, he honestly, in my opinion, was the worst one. I cannot stand that guy. I want to punch him in the face. And look, guys, I'm telling you, watch this documentary, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And if you're believing and agreeing with any of the things that are happening with this red pill community, you got to look in the mirror, my man. I'm telling you right now, I'm looking right at you. You got to self-reflect a little bit and understand that these things that they're telling you, it's so much of it is lies. And they're trying to say that they're trying to help you and do all these things. And I think to an extent, maybe there is some of that in there. But for the most part, like 95% of it, it's all bullcrap, dude. It's all bullcrap. I've lived through that time period of my life, and I'm telling you right now, none of those things that they're saying is true. They're over here claiming that, you can have all the things that you want. I don't want to get too into detail because I don't want to, ruffle feathers too much. This is me just trying to say, like, stop watching these guys. It's destroying your minds, your young minds that are still developing. They're influencing you in a way that you should not be influenced. You need to find somebody who is, it doesn't even need to be me, a healthy role model. Listen to this and then go find somebody that you can follow that has the same values that you want, or morals, or the way that they're living. Yeah, these guys are living like really cool, fancy lifestyles, and it may seem appealing, but deep down, these are shallow people. And if they are happy deep down, which I would be genuinely shocked, it's all a facade. It's a facade. They are not happy people. I mean, that girl broke up with Myron literally before the end of the documentary because these women are not happy with these guys. They're just, maybe they are, I don't know. But based off of when they were interviewing these chicks, you could see visibly that these girls were not happy with their partner. They didn't agree with it through the body language. And a lot of it was just them agreeing with it because maybe they liked the lifestyle that they were able to live, or the person that they were when they were with them, or that person because of the fame and the money and all that kind of stuff. And they were willing to just let them do anything that they wanted, basically, so that they could be with them and get all these other things. When in reality, they just wanted that person. These girls, man, they didn't want these guys to be like this. They don't want that. They want them to themselves, but they're over here getting, the worst of it, in my opinion. I felt really bad for these girls. Excuse me. I spilled some of my drink. I felt really bad for the one that was with Myron. For one, that guy is a freaking Gomer-looking dude, and he talks like an idiot. And if anybody watched the Love is Blind season, the last one, those guys remind me of Alex. Me and my wife were saying that yesterday, and he reminds me so much of Alex, the friggin' narcissistic liar. Um, I just don't get how I don't get what's appealing about what they're saying, because not only that, but like what was that young British dude's name, like HS or something? That dude's a piece of crap, actually. Like, just like Myron, this dude's an actual piece of crap, and he is openly letting people know that he does not like them. He is literally using you for your money. So if anybody watches the HS guy, dude, you got to be kidding me, man. Um, let me get something real quick. I just want to look something up. Looks like I got a kiddo. Oh, it's okay, baby. You got to put it in la basura. Okay, you can't blow it back up. You can't? Really? Uh, yeah, so something that I did want to talk about, and that is along those lines, not to just continue to just harp on people that are following these people, because it's easy to influence when you don't have the right kind of role models in your life or guidance. But it comes with masculinity, you know. For me, my wife and I have talked about this a lot, and I've learned throughout my life what I think positive masculinity is. And I won't be able to get all my points across, because I know it's a topic that I could talk about for a very long time. Like, you could go on and on about this. But one of those things is just being one with yourself. Like, you have to be able to sit with yourself and understand that it's just you. And in this documentary, they're saying that, it's, nobody's going to come and help you. Nobody's going to come and save you. It's you versus the world. You're nothing. You're worth nothing. You have to build yourself up, all these kinds of things. And like, maybe to some extent, there is some truth in that. But for the most part, it's not true, because you are worth something. You're worth a lot. You may think that you aren't worth nothing. There's nothing to your name. You don't have a good job. You don't have a car. You don't have a house. You don't have a girl. You don't have any of these kinds of things. I'm talking to the men exclusively right now, the young men that maybe might be watching this, or anybody who needs guidance in that sense. You are worth a lot more than you think. Maybe you don't have a lot of people in your life, but I promise you that means nothing. You could make it to where you are affecting people positively all the time, and then that's the measure of your worth. There's a saying, like, a man's worth isn't measured by his possessions or something like that. It's by the hearts he touches throughout his life. And that's true. I take a lot of pride, I guess, in the fact that I have been told that I have positively affected people. And I really, really like that, because I want people to feel good about themselves. I want people to understand that, you are worth something. To me, you're a person. I enjoy your company. Maybe we don't see eye to eye about everything, but there's always good, And if you can look at it that way, you'll see, like, you don't have to just, be this person that provides all these things in order to have worth. I don't need to, like, when I met my wife and I lived in a low-income apartment. I didn't have really that great of a job, but I had a job I was very proud of. Do you need to go pee-pees? Go pee-pees right now. Hurry up. Sorry, I'm going to have a lot of interruptions probably from my little one, because... Oh. Just making sure I didn't mute my mic. Because I left the garage door open so that I can see them and stuff. So if you hear me conversating with them, that's why. Where was I at? Oh, when I met my wife, I had lived in like a low income apartment. I wouldn't say it was like low income, but I mean, it was an okay apartment. It was a 2-bedroom, it had a nice carport, but it was a little run down, but it was affordable. And I worked in a job at the school that didn't pay me a lot of money, but I really enjoyed my job. I was a behavior tech, and I worked with kids who, needed help with behaviors. Like they had behaviors, and sometimes I worked with sped kids and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed my work because I got to help kids that a lot of people didn't want to work with. Did you go? Good job. Good job, baby. You want to come and say hi?
Yeah.
Here comes Sulian. Come and say hi, baby. Say hi.
Hi.
Look at the camera and go like this. Go hi.
Hi.
So when I talk about being a positive role model, these are the kinds of individuals that help me stay on track, because I want him to be able to look at me and see somebody that he wants to try and be. And then on top of that, try and be better. I'm not here to try and say, oh, you need to be just like me and do all these things. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to be a direction for young men. I want to be, or point you in the direction of good men. Maybe I'm not the role model for you. That's totally fine. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there's people out there that you can follow, and that you should try and be somebody. Who do you want to be down the road? I want to be this kind of person, and I want to be living by this way. I want to do these kinds of things. So I have to do all these other things to get there. And that's what I had to do when I first met my wife, is I had to build myself up. I had to live very humbly because I didn't make a lot of money, and really work on myself, because I didn't realize, that I had these issues and that I needed these things to work on, because they never came up. And it wasn't until I was alone that I started to realize that, man, like, why do these things bother me so much? Like, why am I having issues with this? Why am I having issues with that? And I had to really pick apart and self-reflect every day. And honestly, I'm a victim to it all the time, because I constantly think about conversations I've had or actions that I've had done, just any of those kinds of things. And I have lots of shame. I think about those times and I am shameful of them at times. But I understand that I can't dwell on those things, because that's what makes me who I am today. Maybe without those, I am not who I am today, and that's okay. I didn't have all these things. I didn't make good choices during this time. But because of those things, I was able to have the life that I have now, that I'm very, very blessed and grateful to have. I have a beautiful wife. I have 3 healthy boys that love me and call me dad, and we play, and I have a beautiful home, a house, a job I'm proud of. I coach wrestling. Literally my dream job is coaching wrestling. If I could do that year round, I would literally do it all the time, 24/7. Teach jiu-jitsu. I get to train jiu-jitsu. I'm still healthy. All these things. And even if I didn't have those things, I would still be grateful and blessed, because I still have myself. And at the end of the day, you have to be able to bet on yourself. You have to be the kind of person that, the old you needed. That's what you have to try and do. And it takes time. It takes a lot of time. You're not going to be able to do it overnight. Those were things that I had to work on, like, all the time. I remember when I was single, there would be nights, man, where I would just start, like, thinking about all these regrets that I had, or decisions that I made that I didn't like. And I would just start crying, I would just start crying because I was shamed. I felt shame of those things. And it just didn't sit right with me, because I couldn't go back and fix those things. And I had to sit on that, and things didn't go the way that I wanted them to go during certain times of my life. But I could have chose to just let that negatively impact me, or figure out a way to make it a positive. And that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to make it a positive, and I have been making it a positive. I've been using it as fuel, to get the next best thing and, strive to do better and strive to guide and lead others down difficult paths, because everybody goes down those, and if it's hard doing it alone. And I'm not going to say that I did it all by myself. I didn't. I still had people in my life that were helping me, but for the most part, it's battles within that you have to go through, and you can only get so much help. You have to be willing to take that and embrace it and live in it and sit in it and understand that it's a part of you. It's going to be a part of you. There's going to be parts of you that you don't like. There's going to be parts of you that, disagree with and can't believe that you did or said these things, Hey, buddy, what are you doing? Playing. Yeah. Here he comes again, the little man. He's got some toys to show me. A pillow. Yes, that's very good. A pillow. Are you playing with Zeptio? Well, you better go play with him. He's looking for you. The balloon popped. That's okay. Maybe we can get a new one. We'll have to do it mañana. Maybe mañana, okay? I don't have any more, maybe. Maybe later, though, okay? All right, baby, let me do my video, okay? Like I was saying, sometimes during those times it's hard, and you have to find yourself in situations that are difficult to navigate. And one thing I can recommend to anybody who's dealing with these kinds of things is finding communities, specifically other male communities, and make sure they're healthy communities, for one. Mine was, more wrestling, jiu-jitsu, the stuff that, where I felt the most successful in my life was wrestling. I found myself, loving it again, because there was a time where, I left the sport, and I honestly couldn't think of ever going back, because I didn't leave it the way that I wanted. I didn't get out of it what I intended. And in reality, I got a lot more out of it than I actually thought. When I first left it, I was disgusted, hated it, and just anytime I thought about it, it was like negative emotions, even though most of my wrestling career was positive, but just because the very end of it was negative, it felt like it was the entire thing. But as I worked through those things, and figured out why I was feeling that way about that time, I slowly started to realize that it was actually probably the most positive thing that's ever happened to me. I had a lot of growing up to do. And, like I said earlier, that's part of the reason why I'm the man that I am today. Why I'm able to talk about these things and not be emotional is because it's who I am. It didn't go the way I wanted, but I can let that negatively impact me, or I can make it a positive. How can I make it a positive? I make it a positive every day. So finding these kinds of groups was difficult at first until I found jiu-jitsu. And then it slowly started to bring back that competitive drive that I had of wanting to be better and, push myself and be better than I was the day before kind of aspect or way of thinking. And I felt less isolated. Okay, sorry about that. Kids were fighting. Had to address those things. Some of the stuff, that goes on in these groups is very positive. I still train jiu-jitsu all the time, and right now I'm pretty happy because I get to train it a lot more often than I usually do. It's good to be able to focus on myself for a little bit because wrestling season is so long. But these communities, if you have other good people to train with who are like-minded, who want to see you be successful, that's the kind of environment that you need to be a part of. And for me, jiu-jitsu and wrestling is that. Not everybody does those kinds of things, but there's other communities out there. And if I'm being completely honest, the video game community is one of the worst, at least the competitive video game community, one of the worst environments to be a part of. And I've been a part of it, Rocket League, one of the most toxic games I've ever played. League of Legends, also incredibly toxic. And these two games are probably, up there in the most played games. And if you can read it and see their communities, on social media and all sorts of stuff about how negative they are. It's literally why I stopped playing. And I used to play both of those games quite a bit, but it was honestly negatively impacting my mood and affecting me negatively. So I just stopped playing, and I'm a lot happier. And so not a lot of our youth are playing video games, and that's totally fine. I still play video games, but you got to pick and choose what you play, or you got to turn off the chat. You got to turn off the chat. You can't be reading those kinds of comments, and honestly, a lot of social media negatively impacts you as well, like TikTok and Instagram. Like, those comments are brutal. I get them all the time, on my social media, on a lot of my big posts, like on my Instagram posts. I have a few videos on there that got I have one that's like 12.7 million views or something like that. And I have a lot of negative comments on there, but I don't let it choose to affect me. But I'm also a lot older, so it's a little bit easier to be like, screw you, what do you know? Whereas some of these younger men might take a lot of offense to that. I personally know people who take a lot of offense to what other people think. And, you got to understand that the only thing that matters and whose opinion matters is yours, and maybe the ones that you care about the most, like you love and stuff, your family. But when it comes to you need to understand yourself the most. And sometimes that's the last person we understand is ourselves. And that's what I'm trying to say is, like, you need to understand yourself. What kind of things do you like? How are you? What kind of person are you? What kind of things do you not like to be said to you? What kind of things do you like people to know that you think? There's so many different things, and that's all that matters when it comes to the mental side of it. Like, you need to understand that if there was a video, for example, of somebody talking about, how he talks to himself. And he said, if somebody came up to me and said the things that I say to myself, I'd punch that guy right in the face. And that's true. I've been a victim of this, where it just came up just yesterday, where, I didn't do as well as I would have liked in school. I didn't really give myself a chance, but it had been so long since I've had to do anything school related. And I'm studying for this test that's 100 questions. It's a 100-question test. And it is, honestly, it's a lot of information to memorize. And it's for my job. And I've been studying it for weeks. Well, I get done with my first one and the first attempt. And I find out that the study guide I was given wasn't the right study guide. It only had maybe an eighth of the information I actually needed. So then I just failed the test. I was actually not that far from passing, but I needed a 70%, and I fell short by 7 questions or something like that. And I felt pretty bad because I studied the living crap out of the thing that they did give me, and it didn't help me. So then 2 weeks later, I actually have the study guide that I need, and it's 3 times the size of what I was already studying. So for one, it's way more information than I thought it was. And 2, last time I took a test, I was in college. That was 7 years ago. It's been a long time since I've had to take any kind of test that meant anything. And for me, when I pass these tests, I get a raise. And so to me, it was very important because I have goals that I want to achieve, and I had an insane amount of doubt leading up to this. Now, well, I wouldn't say leading up to it. Leading up to it, I actually felt pretty confident. It wasn't until yesterday morning, but right before my test, or no, the day before, because I remember talking to my wife and telling her that I was like, we need to go on a walk. It was a nice day out, and she was like, "You okay?" And I was like, honestly, no, I'm not in a good mood right now. I'm thinking about my test, and I'm just very anxious about it and nervous, and I need to go outside, and I need to get some sunlight and do something with my family right now. So we went and walked to the store. I bought them some popsicles. It's really nice out. Came back, had a reset, and I felt a lot better. And then the next day, I take my test. Well, leading up, dude, as I barely slept the night before, and I'm freaking out. I'm scared. My pulse is through the roof, and I know this material really, really well. Like, I've went through the book so many times. I took like 30 practice tests, got an A on every single one, and I had studied all as much as I probably needed to. But I have the thoughts in my head that I'm not gonna pass. I'm not gonna be able to do this, And even during my tests, like, I'm reading these questions and I'm like, man, I'm doing really well. I know this. And I'm like zipping through this test, but the entire time my pulse is just going nuts. I get done with this test in like 30 minutes. It's a 100-question test. And the last time I took it, it took me like an hour, maybe an hour 15. So then the next like 30 minutes, I'm just sitting there rereading every single problem because I'm like, there's no way I can be done with this already. Like, there's no way. And then I maybe switched like 2 problems. Like, everything else, I was just like, nah, you know what? That's what I think it is. And I just said, screw it. If I don't pass, I don't pass. I'll take it again, I guess. I had done, and I passed. The amount of relief was insane. Not enough relief because I still got to take another test. But it was like a small victory. And for me, that meant a lot. It was a big deal to me because it showed that I am capable of still learning these things, and I am smart. I can study. I can do these things. And I tell this all the time to people. I repeat these things to high school wrestlers and jiu-jitsu people, like, if you set your mind to it, you can do it. And in that moment before my test, I didn't know if I could do it. I did have the self-doubt. So even somebody like me who's in a position that has already succeeded but has failed was having doubt. But I succeeded. I still did it, and it was a big victory for me. It's a small victory in the grand scheme of things, but mentally it was a big victory. And I feel a lot better going into this next test because I'm like, if I just study this stuff the way that I was doing the last time, I'll pass. I'll pass. And even if I don't, it doesn't change who I am. I passed that first test. I know I'm capable of doing these kinds of things. And that's the kind of stuff that you have to be telling yourself and practicing on your own to build a better mindset so that you're, better prepared for those kinds of things, anyways. I think we're going to cut it at that point, I think that's a good moment to stop. Thank you guys. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much and you guys were able to listen. But I just want to say thank you. Go ahead and like, subscribe, leave a comment, follow me, all sorts of things. You guys want to come and say hi? Come here. Come here, Zabdiel. You want to come and say hi? Zabdiel, do you want to come and say hi? These guys are arguing. Say hi in the camera.
Hi.
Do you want to tell anybody anything good about your day?
Hi.
Hi. Sabdiel's in a bad mood. That's all right. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
But you ain't